Hey, what's up, y'all? This is me back at it once again. Koski, your fun day, dropping this history knowledge for you and for yours. And first of all, I'd like to thank the ancestors, for giving me the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and bless me, put me in this spot. And also, I'd like to thank you, the subscriber. The channel been doing pretty well. You hit me up from all over, and that's much love and much respect. You know what I'm saying? Give me their opinion in the videos and whatnot. So I respect that. This one right here. Garvey had no respect for Haile Selassie. I got to give a quick backdrop to the story. As we know, Italy in 1935 ran up in Ethiopia. Was trying to get revenge back for Ethiopia, and it was doing this thing. It came through, but the Ethiopians, they won a couple. If you really analyze and read the history of that war, Ethiopians won a couple battles with the help of the Nazi Germany. That's not really discussed much. That was the ones who supplying Ethiopia at the time. That's a whole other mess unto itself. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, the Italians won out. You know what I'm saying? And Haile Selassie had left and fled the empire. Had fled his empire. During this time, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, he was exiled in London. You know what I'm saying? So, and he wrote in this paper, the editorial, you know what I'm saying, in his newspaper, The Black Man, which replaced the Negro World at the time. And this is in 1937. So we're going to read what Marcus Garvey had to say about Haile Selassie and what he thought of his leadership. It's just, this ain't no beef shit or nothing like that. It's just, for the historical record, you know what I'm saying, and stuff that we need to self-analyze, the critique that, Garvey had put down. Garvey had faults of his own too, yes. He had many faults. You know what I'm saying? It's just to take the weakness in the game and leadership and sew it up, for us, for the future generations. So let's get down to this without no further ado. You know what I'm saying? The failure of Selassie as emperor. When the facts of history are written, Haile Selassie of Abyssinia will go down as a great coward who ran away from his country to save his skin and left many of his countrymen to struggle through a terrible war that he brought upon them because of his political ignorance and his racial disloyalty. It's a pity that a man of limited intellectual caliber and weak political character like Haile Selassie became Emperor of Abyssinia at such a crucial time in political history of the world. Unfortunately, Abyssinia lost the controlling influence of political personality of a patriotic racial character like the late Menelik, whose loyalty to his race and devotion to his country excelled all others' qualities to the extent that he was able to use his strength continuously to safeguard the interests of the Ethiopian Empire. What did so well to preserve a cringing, white slave hero worshiper, visionless and disloyal to his country, threw away. This is the impression of a serious-minded political student from the forms of conduct of the ex-emperor of Abyssinia. Every Negro is ashamed. Every Negro who is proud of his race must be ashamed of the way in which Haile Selassie has presented himself to the white wolves of Europe. These statements may be considered very severe in the fact they are. We could have been otherwise unapologetic and sympathetic, but that would have been only if we was dealing with the Coptic priests or religious monks, and not an emperor who held possession of a political trust over 12 million of his own country and the political destiny of the entire Negro race. This little misguided emperor could not realize that he held in his hands the political trust of hundreds of millions of Negroes of the world, men and women, who are looking up to a firm establishment of political sovereignty, and that Ethiopia, like Liberia and Haiti, were to them prizes of glory to be perpetuated and strengthened in the maintenance of identity of the black race, that other men have claimed to be incompetent, inferior, and unworthy, which every black man must look to disapprove. Look with hope. When the war started in Abyssinia, all Negro nationalists looked to hope to Haile Selassie. They spoke of him, they prayed for him, they sung for him. They did everything to hold up his hands as Aaron did Moses. But while the Negro people of the world were praying for the success of Abyssinia, this little emperor was undermining the fabric of his own kingdom, playing fool with the white men and having them advise him and having them telling them what to do, how to surrender, and how to call a successful thrust of the risers against the Indian Italian invaders. Yes, they were telling him how to prepare to fight. And then, like an embryotic little child, followed every advice and ultimately ran away from his country to England, leaving his people to be massacred by the Italians, and leaving serious white world to laugh at every Negro and repeat the charge and sneer. He is incompetent. He told you so. Indeed, Haile Selassie proved incompetent of the Negro for political authority. But thanks God, there are Negroes who realize that Haile Selassie did not represent the truest quality of the Negro race. How could he when he wanted to play white? How could he when he surrounded himself with white influence? How could he when the modern world and the progressive civilization, he preferred a slave state, a black man, than a freedom democracy country where black citizens could rise to the same opportunities as white citizens in their democracies? Tell the truth. The truth must be told so that the white world will realize that it was not the pride of the Negro that surrendered in Abyssinia. It was the disloyalty of a single man who was too silly to take pride in his race and who played such a game as a disgrace to the political entity of a noble people. The Negroes of Abyssinia in the world are satisfied, however, that Abyssinia was not conquered by Italy and the European forces of Mussolini. Abyssinia was only conquered by the black lefties of Italy. The Asaris have really been the victors of Abyssinia. Rodolphe Garcia only marched into Abbey Abbas after he was made sure of his advance guard of his cavalry. Every battle the Italians won in Abyssinia was a result of the advance charge of the Azakari. The fighting man, black man, it was black man fighting black man. And this made it possible for Abyssinia because the regime of Haile Selassie had given a bad taste to the mouth, not only of blacks of Abyssinia, but those who surround the territories. They felt that they had a cause against the American white-loving emperor who liked to chain and floor out black men, and brutally gave them to Mussolini the cause to fool the world that he's bestowing a blessing upon the people of Abyssinia by freeing them. So Mussolini, basically, sidebar tip, Mussolini used that as his junction to invade Ethiopia. They was having slaves. And they was enslaving black people. No slaves. This piece of importance suggests that the black men were held as slaves. We must admit that we glorified Haile Selassie when the war started, fought his battles to win international support. But we felt ever deep down in our hearts that he was a slave master. We had hoped that Abyssinia had won, that he would force the government of Abyssinia to free blacks whom they held as slaves. We preferred this to seeing the country taken by Mussolini or any European power. But now the country is temporarily lost, and the emperor has cowardly exiled himself. The truth must be told. What right has he? The future freedom of Abyssinia must be built upon the highest principles of democracy. That is why it's preferable for the Abyssinian Negroes and the Negroes of this world to work for the restoration and the freedom of the country without assistance from Haile Selassie. Because at best, he was but a slave master. Niggas from the Western world, whose forefathers had suffered 300 years under the terrors of slavery, ought to appreciate what freedom means. Surely they cannot feel justified in supporting any system that will hold their brother in slavery in another country whilst they're enjoying the benefits of freedom elsewhere. The African who are free can also appreciate the position of the slaves in Abyssinia. What right has an emperor to keep slaves from all democratic sections of the world free, when man has the right to live, develop, and expand and enjoy their benefits of human liberty? The emperor who has been exiled in Europe must have seen civilization in Europe. In England, where he lives, he sees men not flogged and chained and kicked because of their color or because of their conditions, but where true human liberty guarantees every man the happiest pursuits he can bring himself. It has been reported that he is leaving England for Syria, where a large number of Abyssinian refugees are living. There is an interpretation that the decision to leave England to live among his peoples, in quotations, in Syria is to perpetuate his divine majesty presence of that of king worship that he does not get in England, where men are looked at as equals and not as mastered by divine right. In truth, the emperor is out of place in that democratic England. He wants to become once more the environment of the feudal monarch, which look upon his slaves and serfs with contempt. Except he changes the attitude of the thinking better himself than the Negro, who constitutes a large number of Ethiopia for profit experience he has gained. He should not be a fit person in authority in the very country which he was born. After all, Haile Selassie is an ordinary man like any other human being. What right he has to hold men as slaves? It is the most misfortunate of the slaves that cause him to be a slave master. Negroes who have dignity of their race at heart resent the impotence of anyone holding black as slaves. Haile Selassie ought to realize this and abolish this foolish dream about being emperor of slaves and serfs and try to be the emperor of noble men. For him to be that, he must himself be the noblest of them all. He has improved the nobility in the war between Italy and Abyssinia. Rasa Drastan proved to be the Lord, the nobleman of Ethiopia, while Haile Selassie proved to be a cringing harlot. Now, just for FYI, Rasa Diesta, D-E-S-T-A, 1892 to 1937. He was a showing nobleman who favored Haile Selassie's policy of modernization, and he was married to the Haile Selassie's daughter, Kennerwe Haile Selassie. He instituted public works in the provinces of Borno and Sama in the 1920s. Haile Selassie made a commander-in-chief of the southern Ethiopian forces when the onslaught of the Italian invasion in 1935. Marshal Raphael Gancio destroyed his exhausted and malaria-ridden army at the Battle of Ganador in the southeastern Ethiopian border in January 1936. The Italians identified the whereabouts of the starving Ethiopian forces with air reconnaissance, then used some 1,700 kilograms of mustard gas against them. Thousands died in battle. Others were driven into the desert where they succumbed to the hunger and dehydration. Rasa Dester and his servants escaped. He emerged later as the leader of a guerrilla resistance. After Haile Selassie was exiled, he maintained a guerrilla force, the Damagaba Marna, in the Great Lakes region. He was captured and put to death by the Italians in 1937. His severed head displayed to the population of Jama province as a warning against opposition. Shortly after, an assassination attempt was made on the Viceroy Gonzana. The Italians contributed to the followers of Rasa Diaz. In a few days following the attempt, massacred thousands of inhabitants of Abyssinia in reprisal. So that's who Rasa Dester was. You know, and Marcus Garvey trying to say he should have went out like that. That's how you should have went out, Haile Selassie. You know what I'm saying? We want to be like that. But this is no beef. He was just saying that in the political landscape where, you know, you claim to be emperor, you got to be on the ball. You got to be about argument. You know what I'm saying? You got to be about a true living government and protecting your people. Marcus Garvey with the UNIA was trying to build that. You know what I'm saying? But he, like I said before, Marcus Garvey, he also had his Haile Selassie type faults too. That, you know what I'm saying, that need to be discussed throughout the history book. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. This is a real jewel, you know what I'm saying, coming from the Black Man paper of Marcus Garvey, 1937, London. You know, it's really hard to find stuff like this. So, you know what I'm saying? The article's called, if you ever get a chance to look it up, you know, it's in the Black Man, Marcus Garvey paper, The Failure of Haile Selassie as Emperor. You know, it's a great read. Talks about leadership, you know, what he should have been doing. And that's what we should have a discussion about too, especially when you know, watch this video about the leadership skills he had. Because, you know, he should have been up on the ball. He knew the times was revving up. You know, he had a Selassie, he should have been buck dancing with England like that. You know, you really read the story. You know, he really should have been doing that. None of that really done that. Matter of fact, you know, not the spoiler alert, you know what I'm saying? Haile Selassie wasn't really supposed to be the emperor. You know what I'm saying? The emperor was somebody different. They killed him off. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, him and Haile Selassie in the church as the emperor. The next emperor, Ethiopia, was a Muslim. You know, read J. Rogers' Facts About Ethiopia. You know what I'm saying? J. Rogers, the dog's historian. Get out, get much love to that ancestor. You know what I'm saying? But read J. Rogers. He got a pamphlet on it. He break it down to you. This is where the German influence is always there around the court. You know what I'm saying? So the Nazis was supplying that rebellion. Many people don't know. It's an icky part of history. You know what I'm saying? Will need to be talked about. Anywho, this is Koski of Fun Day. Much love to you and yours. Hey, subscribe to the channel. All we do is Black history. All we do is this. Black history, African history, baby, worldwide. Peace.